Welcome to Silverstone, round 7 of the 2019 Euroformula Open Championship, the home of British motorsport, the 5.9-kilometre Grand Prix circuit. Another 15 laps or 35 minutes max, whichever comes first. So 88.5 miles in kilometres in total. Scott Woodward's here. I'll be joined by Elliot Wood very shortly on commentary for this race. And this is a race that could potentially decide the championship, even though the leader isn't here. Air temperature 15 degrees, track temperature 29 degrees, 51% humidity. It keeps on going down as the temperature keeps on going up. Now, what do we mean by the championship being decided even though the leader isn't here? Well, Marino Sato, who leads the way by 108 points from Lucas Dunner, is not here this weekend. However, after this weekend, there are 108 points remaining because you get, of course, a point for fastest lap, a point for pole position, and you also get, as well, 25 points per victory. So 108 points left this weekend. If Lucas Dunner does not score in this race, then effectively the title will automatically go to Marino Sato. Marino Sato was on 262 points to Lucas Dunner's 154. Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda come next, who are both not here because they are both been competing in Monza at Formula 2. Linus Lundqvist, who scored some points yesterday, is into 5th, and potentially, if he gets a good result, could move up into 4th position in the standings if he gets a chance to do so. There's no Julian Hanses or Mick Doohan as the cars make their way around onto the circuit, and there was the Taylor Martin Motorsport car of Lucas Dunner. There's Linus Lundqvist, one of many drivers in the grid this weekend who knows Silverstone very well, having raced here in British Formula 3 on the Grand Prix circuit and British Formula 4 on the national layout. But there's the man everyone has to watch, Lucas Dunner. He has to score at least 1 point this weekend to stand any chance of potentially keeping the title alive for the remaining 2 weekends at Barcelona in a couple of weeks' time and Monza in the middle of October. So what has been the main story this weekend? Well, really, one name on everyone's lips, the Japanese sensation Toshiki Oyu, who is a regular in Japanese Formula 3, but this weekend has stepped in with Team Motor Park for the first time, and a chassis he's familiar with because he has raced the Dallara F317 chassis before in Japanese Formula 3 in his native homeland. But in terms of racing on the continent, it's his first time here at Silverstone, but he's been racing like he's been here for years. And there is Toshiki Oyu in the Red Bull sponsored car. That is the car which Yuki Tsunoda normally drives, and while Toshiki Oyu is not a Red Bull back driver, I'm pretty sure with the performances he's been putting in here on his debut on European soil, that might not be long before Red Bull actually start knocking on his door with the potential to add him to the young driver program. Here's a home favourite, Billy Munger, who starts this race 4th on the grid like he did yesterday in race 1. Got a good start past his teammate Nikolai Kiergaard, who for this race starts back in 7th on row 4 alongside his Carlin teammate Christian Hahn from Brazil. But Billy says he can't get good starts, but yesterday was pretty good. But this is the man that got the best start of them all and led from start to finish. Toshiki Oyu with a storming lap in qualifying to put in a 148.705 to go on pole by over 3.5 tenths, which is a phenomenal achievement. And again, what I stress is his first weekend here at Silverstone. There are sort of circuits with long, fast flowing corners in Japan, so maybe it's not too dissimilar to somewhere maybe like Fuji Speedway in many cases, with long straights and these long corners that seem almost to go on forever, but do require a lot of downforce and grip. Now, what potentially can Billy Munger do? Because in qualifying, he was the cause of a red flag because he was on a hot lap. He was set the fastest middle sector of anyone on a particular lap where he spun off, and he lost the back end of the car coming into Luffield, beached the rear wheels into the gravel trap. There was no damage to the car. Red flag came out. They managed to dig him back out again. He got the car back into the pit lane, got back out, and managed to bag himself 4th on the grid. But what could have been on that lap? Could he have been even higher on the grid? Could he have been 3rd or 2nd? Or could he have even shot for pole position? Well, thankfully, compared to yesterday's conditions, it is much brighter and much warmer. We had mostly overcast conditions with a little bit of rain in the air at points on Saturday. But thankfully, the weather has brightened up a little more and track temperature is up, which means that compared to yesterday, these tyres are going to be worked a lot harder, given that the track temperature is now in the mid to late 20s. As we take the view of Billy Munger past the good slots of his 2 teammates, Nikolai Kiergaard and Christian Hahn, and he slots into position 4, where alongside him on the left is Another debutant to Euroformula Open, but no stranger to UK competition. Dennis Hauger, who competed in last year's British F4 Championship, starts on third on the grid. There is your pole sitter. Race 1 winner yesterday, his second pole of the weekend, Toshiku Oyu to Team Motor Park in the car normally driven by Yuki Tsunoda. And he'll be hoping to take a second victory and money well invested in the Honda Junior program. Alongside him, his best qualifying performance to date in Euroformula Open, the young American Cameron Dass, to make it another Motor Park front row. He'll be hoping for a good start to score potentially what could be his first podium in Euroformula Open if he can manage it. Dennis Hauger starts third, the young man from Norway, a Red Bull back driver hoping to impress. Good to see him back on UK soil for this race. Here is the main home favourite everyone's going to be watching for and cheering at home around the UK. Billy Munger for Carlin Motorsport, the highest of the Cup qualified Carlin cars. And can he possibly improve on his third place in the rookie class yesterday? Fifth on the grid and driving the car that's normally driven by Marino Sato is Edam Ahmed, former British Formula 3 champion. He's been racing like Toshiku Oyu over in Japan this season. And alongside him is another Formula 3 and Formula 4 graduate, Linus Lundqvist, the Swede for R Motorsport. And he will be hoping to secure a good spot from 6th on the grid. It's an all-Carlin 4th row. 7th on the grid is another Scandinavian, Nikolai Kiergaard. Took his first podium of the season with 3rd place yesterday at a circuit he's very familiar with. He struggled for most of the season, but seems to have come back to a circuit that he knows quite well and used that to his full advantage. Christian Hahn's had a bit of an overall difficult weekend. 8th on the grid for the Brazilian. And he'll hope just to make nothing but progress forwards to maybe crack the top 5 if he can secure a good couple of opening laps. This is the young German Nicholas Krutten, who is replacing Julian Hanses this weekend, who is also absent, and so the young German stepping into the Motor Park car and starting 9th. This is the man, though, mainly under pressure. Lucas Dunner from Austria in the Sol Teo Martin Motorsport car this weekend. He needs to score points. If he can score just at least 1 point this week on this race, he can take the title to the next round at Barcelona. If not, the title should go to Marino Sato. Caelan Williams, the former Australian Formula 3 champion, with Fortec this weekend, starting 11th on the grid, hoping to make some progress through the field. 12th place for Rui Andrade in the DriveX school car, the Angolan driver, hoping to make some progress up the grid in the top 10. He has got shown flashes of pace throughout the season and has been up and around near the top 5, so we'll hopefully see some more from him later on this afternoon. And then the rest of the grid is Manuel Maldonado and Stuart Wiltshire. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday in race 1. And from pole position, it was a clean getaway for Toshiku Oyu as he headed into turn 1 ahead of Edam Ahmed and Billy Munger, who got the jump on his teammate Nikolai Kiergaard. But then a key moment for Lucas Dunner, bouncing over the curb, making contact with Manuel Maldonado as a result. And Dunner was out on the spot, whilst Maldonado had to limp back to the pits with a broken front wing and nose cone. His race was ruined before it hardly even really started. There was battles further down the field as Nicholas Krutten and Linus Lundqvist went wheel to wheel and almost touched wheels as they went through Stowe Corner, with Krutten going round the outside of the Swede, as Edam Ahmed and Nikolai Kiergaard were locked in a battle for 2nd place throughout the entire race. A move late on in the race between Christian Hahn didn't really come off as he made contact with Caelan Williams. Thankfully, both cars got away unscathed, but nobody could catch this man. On his Euroformula Open debut, he took pole and a dominant lights to flag victory. It was a win for Toshiku Oyu, and not only that, he was top rookie as well, and will hopefully be back for more in the last 2 rounds if he can manage it. So confirmation of how the championship sits. It's 108 points. After this weekend, there's 108 points for grabs, so Dunner has to score at least 1 point to keep the championship alive for next weekend. Then it's Liam Lawson 3rd, Yuki Tsunoda 4th, Linus Lundqvist 5th, and could move ahead of Tsunoda if he can score at least 8 points. Hans is 6th from Doohan 7th, and Hahn, Notori, and then rounding out the top 10, I think, was Billy Munger after his 4th position yesterday. So plenty of British support here for the local drivers, of course. As we say, not just Billy Munger, the British driver here. We're all set for race 2 here of Euroformula Open, and here's the starting grid for this race. Toshiku Oyu starts from pole once again with Cameron Dass, the American, alongside him to make it a Motor Park front row. Dennis Hauger on his UK return is 3rd alongside home favourite Billy Munger. He starts 4th for Carlin. It's Edam Ahmed 5th on the grid alongside Linus Lundqvist in 6th, and all Carlin Motorsport 4th row with Nikolai Kiergaard alongside Christian Hahn on 8th position. Moving down to the bottom of the top 10, Nicholas Crutton, who stands in for Julian Hanses this weekend, starts 9th. Lucas Dunner, who needs to score points, back in 10th, will try to make progress. Caelan Williams and Rui Andrade, followed by Manuel Maldonado, the cousin of former Formula 1 driver Pastor Maldonado, and then Stuart Wiltshire, another local favourite, hoping to make some progress from the back of the grid. So the cars on the formation lap, and of course this weekend using the full 5.9 kilometres. And again, the weather conditions are much brighter than they were yesterday. It was mainly lots of cloud cover, which reduced the air and track temperature quite a lot. But this time, we have mostly clear skies this weekend, and the sun has been shining down on Northamptonshire as we come to the end of summer and towards the beginning of autumn. And remember, it's been quite a long season so far. We had Paul Ricard at the start in the sun in France. We've had Hockenheim. We've also had Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Last time out at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. And then we're here this weekend at Silverstone with just 2 more rounds left to go. Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona in a couple of weeks' time in Spain. And then the season finale in the middle of October at what's known as the Cathedral of Speed, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza in Italy, which may well have decided the title by the time we get there, provided that Lucas Dunner can possibly score points here this afternoon. So there is Christian Hahn looking to make some progress. And he will try and get the jump on Nikolai Kiergaard if he can at some point. Christian Hahn comes into the weekend 8th in the points after yesterday. And there is the man that everyone has to beat, Toshiki Oyu, who is a Honda junior. He's a Honda-backed driver, and certainly the investment is paying off. And as we say, it's a car he's familiar with because it's a chassis that he's driven all the way through this season in Japanese Formula 3. But in terms of Silverstone, it's a circuit he's had to learn pretty much on the fly. But his adaptability has been fantastic, and we'll have to wait and see how he adapts for this second race in slightly warmer conditions. Cameron Dass has a great opportunity here to score potentially one of his best results of the season. Dennis Hauger likewise on his Euroformula Open debut. Is there a possibility even for Billy Munger to score a home podium in the mix? Adam Army would love to get another rostering visit after he finished second yesterday. Linus Lundqvist also trying to possibly move ahead of Yuki Tsunoda in the points. Well, Elliot, as the cars line up on the grid here, Toshiki Oyu possibly could get 2 from 2, but he's got a lot of good drivers around him. Cameron Dass could surprise in the front row if he can get a good start. Never count at Billy Munger from the start either. Should be an interesting couple of opening laps once they sort themselves out.
Lap 1 is always where most of the drama is in Euroformula Open races, but it's where a lot of races are lost as much as they're won. So drivers got to be careful as much as they've got to be attacking here.
So Toshiki Oyu on pole on the right-hand side in the Red Bull liveried car. Cameron Dass in the bright blue and black car on the left-hand side on pole. We'll watch also for Hauger and Billy Munger as well. All set for race 2 of Euroformula Open from Silverstone. Oyu on pole, Dass on the left-hand side. The lights are out and we're racing once again at Silverstone. It's a decent start again from pole from the Japanese man Oyu. Into Copse Corner they go for the first time. We're on board with Billy Munger as he slots in behind Dennis Hauger in 4th position. So out of Copse, it is Oyu who leads, but already under pressure from Cameron Dass. And here comes Dennis Hauger looking to go around the outside of Oyu goes Cameron Dass. Also Lucas Dunner appears to have survived Magnus and Beckett this time. Yes, he has. So into Chapel for the first time. And already it's Oyu from Dass, from Hauger, then from Billy Munger. Adam Armid is into 5th position. And with Lucas Dunner surviving the opening few corners, Elliot, that's crucial for his championship chances if he wants to score points and keep it alive for next weekend.
Yeah, 108 points available after this race, and Dunner's currently 108 points behind Sato. He's defending from Callum Williams right now, as we're seeing Christian Hahn and Nikolai Kiergaard, the 2 Carlin drivers, side by side. Billy Munger came severely under attack there from Enam Ahmed at the start. He did well to hold him off, and there's a bit of tyre smoke. I believe that is from Munger, and he's still holding off Ahmed going through the club section of the lap.
And Lucas Dunner was over the curbs on the first part of Club Corner. We saw Manuel Maldonado towards the back of the field. So in the initial part of the lap, Oyu was under threat from Cameron Dass, as we see Rui Andrade battling away with Manuel Maldonado. Meanwhile, the 2 Carlin cars are having a bit of infighting between Nikolai Kiergaard and Christian Hahn as they head up through Farm Corner. And just ahead of them is Linus Lundqvist into the arena section for the first time. So Lundqvist ahead of Hahn, back on board with Billy Munger now as he turns his way through the loop. And staring at the gearbox of 3rd place man Dennis Hauger as they come up through Aintree onto the Wellington Straight for the first time. And despite the initial attack, Toshiki Oyu is now a second to the good already, up towards Brooklands for the first time.
And there was somebody kicking up a lot of dust there halfway through that, as we're seeing Christian Hahn attacking Linus Lundqvist and spinning round on the entry to Brooklands. It looked like someone behind had made a mistake as well.
So contact between Christian Hahn and Lyons. Lundqvist, he gets a complete 360 and now has Rui Andrade to his outside line. Shows you about why, and that's damage for Christian Hahn. It's the left front suspension that's gone on the Carlin car, and he'll be heading straight to the pit. So sadly, what's been a difficult weekend for Christian Hahn pace-wise has just got a whole lot worse. So Toshiki Oyu leads the way by almost a second on lap 1 from Cameron Dass in second place. Dennis Hauger is third. Billy Munger we're riding on board with is in fourth position. Enem Ahmed completes the top 5 at the end of the opening lap. Then it's Kiergaard, Williams, Dunner in 8th position, Crutton and Maldonado, and if Dunner stays where he is in 8th position, he'll gain 3 points, and that will give him enough to keep the championship alive to the next rounds at Barcelona.
It definitely will, and Dunner will also be looking for fastest lap this weekend. He wants to extract the absolute maximum out of this race as he can after a pretty dismal start to the weekend.
Key thing is on that first proper flying lap that in terms of the first sector, Oyu, Das and Hauger were all pretty much equal, but who set the fastest first sector out of the top 4? Billy Munger, 10th quicker than anyone else in that one, and he's already starting to come onto the tail of Dennis Hauger. This is a replay of diving up against the Christian Hahn. Big ambitious move. I'm not sure that Lundqvist even realised that he was that far ahead. It looks as though also at the last minute, Elliot, I think it looked as though Christian Hahn initially did commit, but then just backed out at the last minute, and because of that, as Lundqvist went to go and take his line, simply didn't realise that Hahn still had his left front there, and that's caused the contact. And sadly, that is Christian Hahn out of the race. 0 points from race 2 this afternoon.
The drivers are currently completing the second sector of the lap. 48 seconds for Oyu, which is 3 tenths up on the 2 drivers behind. Billy Munger's dropped another few tenths. The Christian Hahn Linus Lundqvist crash is under investigation. Cameron Dass looks quite comfortable in second. Billy Munger has definitely dropped time visibly. And Enem Ahmed will be on his tail again. Both of them are BRDC superstars, and obviously have the BRDC stand the drivers' race pass here at this circuit.
And just behind them at the moment on fastest lap pace on this proper first flying lap is in fact Nikolai Kiergaard. He's put in already a 1:49.969 back in 6th position. That's quite lightning pace from the Danish driver.
I think that is the lap record. Because yesterday, Enem Ahmed set the fastest lap of 1:50.456. We've only seen 1:49s during qualifying over the last 2 days. So that is the new lap record for Euroformula Open, set by Nikolai Kiergaard.
And I have a feeling that it might not be the first time it gets broken, given the pace of some of these guys out here this afternoon.
Billy Munger is tucked in the slipstream with Dennis Hauger. He's going to look at the outside of Stowe Corner. Be a brave move if he does it. And he's sticking to it.
And he goes for it round the outside at Stowe Corner, and Hauger has to capitulate. Great move from Billy Munger around the outside into 3rd place at the expense of Dennis Hauger. So into the complex of Valen Club, and that's the move done. That's into a podium place in 3rd position. You wouldn't think this boy races with hand controls, would you, with a performance like that?
I think Dennis Hauger made a mistake in the second sector because he was significantly down on the drivers in front. As you can see, there is quite a gap already between Cameron Dass in 2nd and Billy Munger in 3rd.
Yeah, I think maybe somewhere in Maggotts, Beckett and Chapel there may have been a mistake. And also now, look, the second of the home favourite drivers, Enem Ahmed, is on the back of Dennis Hauger. So Munger hasn't dropped Hauger just yet, and Ahmed is in the mix there too. And also they've got to watch out for now the current new lap record holder, Nikolai Kiergaard, who's sailing up to the back of all 3 of them. So as they come through Aintree on the second time, and here's the move on the outside line. Munger positioned it beautifully and really just forced the issue, sailed around the outside and straight into 3rd place. That's the kind of move we want to see. Great stuff. And already up the outside line goes Enem Ahmed into Brooklands Corner. Going to try to do for the price of one. He goes up the inside, possibly Billy Munger into Luffield, but Munger shuts the door. But that's a bold pass from Enem Ahmed round the outside of Brooklands. So 2 positions lost in the space of 1 lap for Dennis Hauger. And at this rate, Elliot, it could be possibly even 3 in the next few corners because Nikolai Kiergaard is still charging on the back of this trio.
Yeah, Kiergaard does look like the fastest driver on track, although Cameron Dass has just set personal best to close Oyu's lead down to just under a second. So Oyu isn't running away with this, as expected.
Maybe the slightly warmer conditions could be playing a little bit of difference with the setup. I'm not sure, but Cameron Dass certainly, either they found something between qualifying this morning and the race to give him a little bit extra pace, and maybe the fact he qualified in the front row has buoyed his confidence a bit. But Cameron Dass then at the end of the first sector, they come down towards Stowe Corner on lap 4 now. Let's check the first sector times. It looks a little bit visibly closer. Equally matched between Oyu and Das at the moment. Munger was a 10th quicker though. He was the fastest out of the top 5 to go forwards. And here's a certain course he knows very well. He was fired up coming into the week. He's got a lot of support here this weekend from some supporting groups and charities that he works with, but also with plenty of British fans here who Would love to see him do well, and they were delighted when he got a podium in the Rookie Cup yesterday with third place. And given the fact that it's a 15-lap race, it's quite a long lap here, around about 1 minute 50 or so. Given the pace of Billy, we'll see what he is at the end of the second sector. But he's keeping in Armid at bay and pulling away slightly, and he's keeping the top two in touch, only about 2 seconds.
We need to watch Nikolai Kjærgaard, because it looks like he's going to go around the outside of Dennis Hauger, thinks better of it. But he was hounding him all the way through those corners there, and they'll be coming on to the the Wellington Straight soon, so you should be able to slipstream and make a move down at Brooklands.
Here he comes then. The move on fifth place could be on, so this is where Hauger lost it out to Enem Ahmed, and going down the outside lanes, he's going to do it again down the outside for Nikolai Kjærgaard. It's possible if you've got the grip and the confidence. Hauger shows the edge of the road. Kjærgaard puts 2 wheels onto the curb and has to stick behind. That was very forceful defensive there from Dennis Hauger. He realised he's lost it once in that corner. He wasn't going to lose it again this time by, especially not to Kjærgaard.
It did look like he actually moved left and then moved back right. And I think that was a responsive move rather than prior to Kjærgaard committing to that corner. So stewards might not be happy about that one. As Billy Munger and Enem Ahmed cross the line, both in the 1 minute 50s personal best. Munger is, I believe he's closed in on the top 2 by about 4/10 on that last lap. So this is a great race to the 2 British drivers at the moment.
Yeah, gap is 2.8 seconds between first and third, but it's 1.7 seconds between Cameron Dass and Billy Munger. So on lap 5 now, Oyu leads the way by 1.1 second by Cameron Dass, and a further 1.7 seconds back to Billy Munger. Enem Ahmed is 4th. Dennis Hauger remains in 5th position for the time being. From Nikolai Kjærgaard, he still holds the fastest lap of the race, and indeed the new lap record in Euroformula Open here. 7th place for Caelan Williams, 8th for Lucas Dunner, who, we remind you, if he does finish there, the points he gets will help him keep the championship alive to Barcelona in a couple of weeks' time. Crutton is 9th place, and Linus Lundqvist, he's back down in 10th, so I think his ambitions of possibly jumping Yuki Tsunoda in the points might not necessarily happen here, unless he can have a storming drive in these last 2/3 of the race. Then Maldonado, Andrade and Wiltshire are the 13 cars still running, with Christian Hahn out of the race after he made contact with Linus Lundqvist earlier on.
And Toshiki Oyu is actually, well, he's been matched by Cameron Dass and Billy Munger, but he is pulling away at the moment.
And fastest second sector there of the entire race so far for Billy Munger. So the boy's got pace at the moment. He's keeping Cameron Dass in his sights as they come down towards the complex at Brooklands. And the gap now between the top 3 is just under 2.7. It's 2.6 to be exact, as they come back into Brooklands at the end of the Wellington Straight, past the BRDC clubhouse and the BRDC grandstands, and up through Luffield. And Kjærgaard keeping up his pursuit of Dennis Hauger as they come through Woodcote to end lap 5. Lead gap is now 1.4 seconds between Oyu and Dass as the Carlin Motorsports squad watch on as they keep progress of Billy Munger, who has the new lap record, 1 minute 49.968, another new fastest lap of the race for this race. And Billy Munger now has stolen away with that record from his teammate, and actually stolen it by literally 1,000th of a second. So that's how much pace the Carlin cars have got this weekend so far. And Munger now is only a second behind Cameron Dass at this point, as Oyu continues to lead by 1.4 on lap 6.
Yeah, and the pace Munger was setting there was 193.18 kilometres average. Incident involving cars 12 and 26 were investigated after the race. That is Lundqvist and Hahn. Kjærgaard has a look at Dennis Hauger again going into Stowe. Hauger went a bit wide on the exit there, so that should help Kjærgaard set up another move going into Vale Corner.
Here he goes, round the outside line. He can get on the inside line for the first buckle if he can, and Hauger's got no choice. And up the inside into 5th position goes Nikolai Kjærgaard with a beautiful outside pass that makes the switchback happen, and he's up into the top 5. So 2 Carlin cars in the top 5 positions at this point in time. And through Abbey Corner they go. Now Hauger might try and get him back here because he stayed close to the gearbox of the Danish driver, and here he comes back down the outside. But Kjærgaard throws the block into the complex at Village, into the loop. And again, the wider approach into the loop, try and get the undercut on the exit, but the overall pass appears to be there. And here's the replay, Elliot, and pretty much round the outside, and he had the grip that he needed to. Job done. And
you can see a kick of oversteer from Dennis Hauger as he put his foot back down on the throttle, exiting that corner. So brilliantly executed by Kjærgaard, and brilliant car control by Holger to make sure he didn't spin that round.
And what was more incredible, he set the fastest first sector of the entire race whilst he was doing it, which is quite incredible. So whilst he was performing an attack on Dennis Hauger. Here's the leaders. Toshiki Oyu now has the gap. It's come down by a couple of tenths to 1.6. So it was 1.7 at one point at the end of the second sector. Dass still second place. The gap is now 0.8 between Cameron Dass and Billy Munger. Enem Ahmed a further 8 tenths back in 4th position, and Kjærgaard has already cleared Dennis Hauger by 6 tenths at the end of that lap. with Caelan Williams. And this is crucial because Lucas Dunner's closing in on the Australian, and that could be crucial for a couple more points for Lucas Dunner if he can manage to get through. And there's Nicholas Crutton, who's subbing for Julian Hanses this weekend and running well in 9th position. And he may score a couple of points for his troubles. He remains where he is with Linus Lundqvist in the background, rounding up the final points, paying place in 10th.
And now he's in clean air. Nikolai Kjærgaard's just set the fastest first sector of the race, a 32.2 second split, where is probably going to break Billy's lap record at this rate.
I think Billy really has closed in now. The gap is still 0.8 of a second, and it keeps on visibly looking close. You can see the blue and turquoise car in 3rd place. That's Billy Munger up into Abbey Corner, but Toshiki Oyu using all the clear track to his advantage. There's Cameron Dass, the American, formerly raced in American Formula 4, but also has raced before in UK soil in British Formula 4 as well, or British Formula 3 in many cases.
Yeah, he drove for Carlin in British Formula 3 2 years ago, and then he joined the Euroformula Open Field. He hasn't had a podium this year, did take a few podiums last year, I believe. Nikolai Kjærgaard has set the fastest second sector by, he's well over 6/10 faster than anyone else through that sector on this lap alone. So come the end of this lap, he's probably going to be catching up onto the tail of Enam Ahmed.
And he's got 2.5 seconds to close in order to sense an opportunity to get past Enam Ahmed as the leaders use all the curb on the exit of Luffield. Here comes Toshiki Oyu across the line. He does a 50.2, still 4/10 better than Cameron Dass. Billy Munger gained another couple of tenths on that lap, and there goes the lap record again for Nikolai Kjærgaard, 1:49.891 to set the fastest lap of the race. The gap now between Enam Ahmed and Kjærgaard is now 2.6 seconds as a result. There is the new lap record holder, Kjærgaard. And there's the confirmation as he swings through Magnus Beckers and Chapel. It's the big sort of front sort of aerodynamic tabs on this car that really helps them have so much great cornering speed. Now, what's interesting here on this one, Elliot, is that not only is Cameron Dass being caught by Billy Munger, but Enam Ahmed is not only kept with them, he's catching the pair in front of him as well. So we could be seeing a 3-car scrap for the lead between Dass, Munger and Ahmed within the next few moments.
Well, three-car scrap for second because Toshiki Oyu is up the road already. But it certainly looks like they're getting closer. And the fact that they have stayed in the wake of one another and are still setting competitive lap times, especially in comparison to Oyu, is very impressive. Three of them are lined up together now. Nikolai Kjærgaard, let's see the gap he has to them now. He was another 2/10 faster, the best first sector of the race again. So he's currently 2.3 seconds behind.
I think he quite likes Silverstone with the rate he's closing in on these guys. So Cameron Dass holding on for the time being. The gap is now 0.4, so you have to sense, and there is Billy Munger right on the tail of the young Americans. They come up through Aintree. This is on lap 8 of this race, but coming up to half distance completed. And Billy Munger will try and close in. And this is a slow-mo shot of Cameron Dass working away at the wheel, followed by Billy Munger. You can see possibly maybe him working away with his hand controls on that car. And again, but the performance he's putting in, you wouldn't think he's in hand controls, would you? He's racing like any other normal racing driver. But then again, he is still a normal racing driver, and he's still putting in a hell of a performance to keep up with the leaders.
Another 6/10 taken out of Enam Ahmed's gap by Nikolai Kjærgaard there in the middle sector. Comes the final sector, it's another lap record, 1:49.758.
Here comes the battle for 7th, but we look back to our scrap for 2nd and 3rd as Billy Munger continues to hound the back of Cameron Dass, swinging through. That's a little bit of a twitch there, I think, of oversteer in the middle of the corner. Either that or the car just rotated nicely through the apex of Chapel as they come onto the hangar straight once again, and Munger will try and close in under braking. He has a quick glance at these mirrors, sees that Enam Ahmed with the bright fluorescent yellow helmet is starting to close in a little bit as they come down towards Stowe Corner for the 9th time. 8 laps in the books, still 7 to go. And up towards Vale they come, all closing back up under braking. Dass, the American, in 2nd place, and the Brits, Munger and Ahmed, 3rd and 4th. How great would it be to see 2 British drivers on their home race in 3rd and 4th position? And Kjærgaard continues to close in. And then once again, out of the top 5, he was the fastest man in the first sector, 32.2. It wasn't a fastest first sector anymore, but still again, 3/10 quicker than Ahmed, half a second quicker than Munger and Cameron Dass.
And Ahmed's going for a diving move on Billy Munger, doesn't make it, but he's certainly going to have a slipstream effect going down to the next straight as the camera focuses on Lucas Dunner, who is our highest point scorer of the season here today. He's currently in 8th place, and that would keep the title fight going for one more race at present. But obviously Dunner would want far more than this.
Certainly would, and he's though he's doing enough to keep with Caden Williams, but doesn't have the outright pace, it seems, to try and get past him as the TM Martin Motorsport squad watch on. So Oyu trying to escape up the road. The gap is now 3 seconds as he sets a personal best, as Dash sets a personal best second sector towards the end of this lap. Let's look at lap times. 1 minute 50.3 for Oyu. He's half a second up now on Cameron Das once again. Munger does a 50.9. Edam Ahmed does a 50.7, so he's close by another couple of tenths. He was wide on the exit there of Copse Corner. And all that's done now is brought Kiergaard back into play, who again, everyone else has done 1 minute 50s. Kiergaard is still on fastest lap pace, 149.8. I see it several times, but he is absolutely flying out there.
And now he's definitely in the slipstream gap behind Enam Ahmed, so he potentially could overtake him before the end of this lap. And you can see actually Ahmed looking at his mirrors. He is worried that Kiergaard is behind him.
Here comes Kiergaard into Stowe Corner. And already, look at that, he's up in that first sector. He's done another new fastest first sector of the race. He keeps on pumping in fastest sector after fastest sector. And the 3 cars in front, I think Kiergaard could even get second place here if he plays his cards right, because the 3 cars in front don't seem to have an answer to his pace. But now he's caught in turbulent air behind these 3 cars. Let's see how this Carlin car performs as they head up towards Abbey Corner, with the sun beating down here at Silverstone in the early September sunshine. And there is Nikolai Kiergaard, current lap record holder and fastest lap of the race holder, 149.758. Means he gets an extra point for his troubles. And out of Village and Malouk they come, up through Aintree. 9 laps in the books, including the one we're on, 6 to go. And there is Oyu now with a gap of 3.3 seconds.
And Lucas Dunner has got a track limits warning for turns 1 and 7. That's Copse and Stowe. And that could lead to a penalty, which may drop him out the points. So this is serious business if that warning goes any further.
You'd hate to see the champion decide on a penalty, wouldn't you? That's not the way either Marino Sato nor would Lucas Dunner want that to see that settled. He wants to keep himself in the mix as much as possible. And even if he can try and delay Marino Sato's coronation, if you like it, until Barcelona, he'll do everything he can, but he's got to be careful of those track limits because he has been warned. So the quartet for second place, Das, Munger and Edam Ahmed, now coming under serious pressure from Nikolai Kiergaard, but the young American Cameron Das having one of his better performances this season in Euroformula Open. There's the man on the move, Nikolai Kiergaard from Denmark, in the second of the Carlin cars. We've already lost one of them, sadly, after Christian Hahn made contact early on with Linus Lundqvist that damaged the front left suspension. But the other 2 are doing Trevor Carlin proud as they come into Stowe Corner once again. Everyone's just, I think maybe because they're sort of in each other's wake in terms of the aerodynamic turbulence, maybe they're starting to kind of lose a bit of ultimate pace in the corners to possibly try and get past, because now they're close to each other. And we saw a similar thing yesterday with Enam Ahmed and Nikolai Kiergaard when they were second and third together. They ran together, but neither of them, Kiergaard didn't have enough momentum or grip or speed to be able to get past Ahmed in terms of making a move. He had to kind of sit behind him, whether it was just his tyres were overheating or just he couldn't find a way through. He didn't have that little bit extra to try and get past. It seems as though that neither Munger nor Ahmed nor Kiergaard seem to have that to get past each other, whilst Cameron Das has all the clear air.
Well, much of this lap is spent on full throttle, so there's only a few opportunities where you can overtake. Here's a replay of Lucas Dunner, who has been overtaken for 8th place by Niklas Grutton. So he's now 9th, he's got 2 points, which still keeps the title fight going. But he's definitely under pressure from Linus Lundqvist behind, who, remember, span early in the race when he was hit by Carlin's Christian Hahn.
It's not making it easy for himself, is he? Sort of going down to 9th place, potentially 10th, if he's got a penalty potentially looming over him. I think he's been given the warning. I'm sure he'll have been told that pretty succinctly by his team to keep it within the white lines. Meanwhile, Toshiku Oyu now has the gap up to 3.6 seconds with a personal best for the top 2. 150.2 for Oyu, or 50.4 for Cameron Das. But the Munger is about a tenth and a bit behind in 3rd position in terms of lap time. And now that Kiergaard's stuck behind Enam Ahmed, look at his lap time. He's gone down to 150.7, and Ahmed was a tenth quicker. So I think because he's stuck in turbulent air now, I think effectively Kiergaard's hit a metaphorical brick wall here. He can't make any more progress because he's stuck behind Enam Ahmed. The only thing he can do is stick with him as close as he can, like right now, stay on the slipstream and try and make a dive somewhere at one of the tighter corners around the lap. So into Vale and Club come 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th.
Oh, fuck.
So Oyu now continues on, 3.6 seconds to the good. Continues to try and pull away. Into the complex come the leaders. And Munga's still half a second behind Das at this point in time. And then Munga another half a second ahead of Ahmed. And again, Kiergaard's not making the progress he wants to at this point in time. He's sticking behind in 5th position. They're not really making that much more progress. It's a similar situation that he had back in race number 1. So just a few laps to go then. Into Copse Corner come the leaders. So we're on lap 13, 3 laps to go. 3.5 seconds is the advantage. As they come up through the S's of Maggots, Beckett and Chappell. Kiergaard's not really making that much more progress, it seems. And there is Oyu keeping the lead as possible. Sector time, he's a 10th up on Das in this sector. Nikolai Kiergaard's back on fastest lap pace. You've got the Toph Medemar, but he's on a 32.0 as they turn into Stowe Corner. Hager in 6th, Caelan Williams still in 7th place, Crutton 8th, and Lucas Dunner remains in 9th place. And so if he can stay there, he will score the 2 points he needs to keep the title alive until the next rounds at Barcelona, with Lundqvist rounding off the top 10. Maldonado 11th, Andrade 12th, and Stuart Wiltshire in 13th place. And they come through the complex now with 3 laps to go. And again, that stalemate. Looking back now, we see Lucas Dunner just behind that man, Nicholas Crutton, with Caelan Williams up there in 7th place, keeping tabs on 7th place. This is the second sort of main group battling for positions amongst the top 10. As the Fortec squad watches on. Just outside the top 10, Manuel Maldonado sits 11th as Nicholas Crutton starts to make designs on potentially looking at 7th place on the back of Caelan Williams into the complex. And back to the leaders. We're now on the penultimate lap of the race, and Nikolai Kiergaard set the personal fastest first sector of anyone else, but wasn't able to match it in sectors 2 and 3. And Billy Munga's in a podium place, but he might start to sense second here, and likewise Kiergaard may have a look for 4th place as they come out of Chappell onto the Hanger straight. Now Munga is in a possible prime position here. He's in the slipstream down towards Stowe Corner, and here he comes. Das has to go defensive. Here comes Munga to the outside line. Will he go for 2nd place around the outside out to Stowe Corner? It's last of the late breakers, but into the right-hander, and Das holds on for the moment. Through Stowe on the approach towards Vale and Club now on the penultimate lap, but if Munga's going to make the move, he has to do it within the next few moments, otherwise he may lose the chance. But now up through Vale, up through Club, and see Enem Ahmed starting to have a look and take a peek at possibly grabbing 2nd place. It looks as well as Munga looks to go possibly down the outside line, go around the outside into the complex and finish. He's going for it on the inside line, possibly around the outside. He runs wide into the complex of it. Can he get the move stuck? Cameron tries to defend. There's contact. That Cameron front wing has been lodged. End him up into 3rd place. I'm not sure if the stewards have a word with that, but Billy Munga's up into 2nd place. But now he's under threat for Enem Ahmed. There's damage to the front of Cameron Dass's car. Nikolai Kiergaard is now coming up on the inside line, side by side with the 2 Brits as Enem Ahmed goes round the outside into Brooklands Corner, and he's through to 2nd place. He gets sideways on the exit into Luffield, and he's through. So an incredible sequence of corners, but Enem Ahmed is up to 2nd place. Billy Munga's back down to 3rd, but incredibly Cameron Das is the one that loses out. He was in 2nd place. There was contact between Das and Munga. Kiergaard's up to 4th, and it may not be over yet. Onto the final lap of the race, and Dennis Hauger's involved as well because of the damaged front wing for Cameron Das. Into 5th position goes Dennis Hauger. All of this has allowed Tetsuya Oyu to move it up to a 5.7 second lead as they start the last lap of the race. 2nd place for Enem Ahmed, 3rd place now for Munga, 4th for Kiergaard with the fastest lap, 5th for Cameron Das after the damage of the front wing. So it's 5th for Dennis Hauger, my apologies. And there is Tetsuya Oyu. As now we see Munger battling with his teammate Nikolai Kiergaard, and Kiergaard will go to the outside. He's got a small toe for Marble in front, round the outside Stowe corner, but two Carling guards go into combat. Stowe round the outside goes Nikolai Kiergaard. He's through. Yes, he is. He's done it. So Kiergaard gets through. Munger down the outside to try and repass his teammate into the complex at Valen Club. But Ahmed tries to escape. Munger tries to get his teammate back on the exit, but can't get through. And with half a lap to go, there goes Oyu in the lead, completely oblivious to all of this happening behind him. He's almost 6 seconds ahead to the good. As Ahmed holds second place, Kiergaard thinks it's going to be a repeat of the race 1 podium unless Munger could do anything about his teammate up into the complex. He did this a lap ago, trying to get past Cameron Dass. He can't do it this time. He's running out of corners and running out of opportunities. Now, the incident involving cars 31 and 25, which is Cameron Dass and Billy Munger, is under investigation. There's Stuart Wiltshire towards the back of the field, one of our other local drivers. But whilst all that's been happening, this man's been completely oblivious, and why not? He's once again taken pole position. He's run away with the lead, and effectively he will go on to take a lights to flag victory. He had a superb debut this weekend here in Europe. He's taken 2 poles, and it'll be 2 wins. Up to the checkered flag, Toshiki Oyo has announced himself in Europe with victory in race 2. Once again, he does the double at Silverstone in Euroformula Open. In a dramatic last couple of laps, Edamame will take 2nd place, and Nikolai Kiergaard will take 3rd. Billy Munger gets 4th, Dennis Hauger picks up 5th, but there might be some ramifications after the contact between Munger and Dass, who does finish 6th. It's Williams 7th, Crudden 8th, and Lucas Dunner does finish 9th. He will take 2 points, and he just keeps the championship alive, moving to Barcelona in a couple of weeks' time. Linus Lundqvist rounds out the top 10. Manuel Maldonado in 11th place, and Rui Andrade rounding out 12th position, with Stuart Wiltshire in 13th spot. And this is the replay of what happened back at the complex. Down the outside went Billy Munger, and he looked as though he almost had it done, ran wide onto the curbs and then into the complex at the loop. Oh, that's a tricky one, because both of them took their line. Whether that be classed a racing incident or not, I'm not sure. I'm not a steward, so I'm not going to try and call it. There goes Munger down the outside line, over the curb. He has the inside line. He's got the right to be on the inside line. He just looks like he possibly understeers into Dass. And away he goes. Here's the other view that we saw of it. So Munger has his nose slightly in front as they go into the corner. Dass tries to go back around the outside line. Now Munger seems to possibly understeer wide. And as a result of that, Dass's front wing is broken. And Ahmed was then into a prime position to come past him. Well, whatever the outcome of that incident, we'll let the stewards decide that rather than explain it ourselves. But there is a very, very happy Toshiki Oyu, who will go ahead and collect a double victory this weekend on his first visit with Euroformula Open. As we mentioned at the top of the programme, he may not be a Red Bull back driver, even though he is just covering in Yuji Tsunoda's car, but I'm sure that Red Bull may well come knocking off that performance. And another talented Japanese single-seater driver in the mix. We've got 4 now as we come to the results. So Toshiki Oyu makes it 2 from 2 this weekend, and also his top rookie home, with Edamame taking 2nd, Nikolai Kiergaard 3rd, Billy Munger gets 4th, from Dennis Hauger in 5th position, Cameron Dass in 6th, Caelan Williams 7th, then Nicholas Crutton, Lucas Dunner and Linus Lundqvist rounds out the top 10. Manuel Maldonado is 11th, Rui Andrade 12th, and Stuart Wiltshire and Christian Harmy sadly lost at the beginning of the race due to contact after with Linus Lundqvist. So for the points, it's 108 up for grabs in the last 4 races, 106-point gap. So Lucas Dunner has a slim chance to keep Marino Sato at bay, with Liam Lawson 3rd, Yuki Tsunoda 4th, Linus Lundqvist stays 5th, but closes in now to 7 points, and the rest of the top end goes filing through. So into the pit lane come the top 3. So, underneath the podium, our top 3 come to a stop, and Toshiki Oyu jumps out and will be full of celebration, I'm sure. And Ahmed and Nikolai Kiergaard, it will be valuable points for Kiergaard, I'm sure, but for Oyu, evident delight. And why not? A great job on his debut weekend here for Euroformula Open, and another super talent from Asia to watch coming up the ranks. Enem Ahmed, good to see him with 2 podiums on his return to UK soil in a racing context. He's mainly been competing with Toshiki Oyi and Nikolai Kiergaard, who not only gets himself another podium, but he also picks up the brand new lap record with a 1 minute 49.758, and he gets the point to go with it as well for his championship tally. So as we say, 2 more meetings left to go for Euroformula Open. The next rounds will be in a couple of weeks at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and then at the middle of October they head to the Cathedral Speed, Monza in Italy to round off the season. And by the time we get to Monza, we may well have decided the fate of the 2019 Euroformula Open title. So as we said, so here's a confirmation of the top 3. 3rd place, and the brand new lap record goes to Carlin Motorsports' Nikolai Kiergaard of Denmark. Some great racing to put the top 4 under pressure to find himself his 2nd podium. 2nd place for the 2nd time this weekend on his successful return back to the UK. Enem Ahmed picks up P2 in race 2, but making it 2 from 2 on his European debut. What a weekend for Toshiki Oyu. He's with Alfredo down the pit lane to express his joy, I'm sure, at 2 very hard-fought victories.
Toshi Oyu again on the top of the podium. Very, very good weekend. Very good first weekend in Europe.
Yeah, I'm glad to have a perfect weekend. I'm so happy. Yeah. When I first came to Silverstone, I never thought I could get P1. In a whole race, yeah. They have been very good, yeah. I have good pace constantly weekend, thanks to our teammates.
Good, thank you very much. Congratulations, all the best. Arigato.
Let's take a look at the highlights from race 2 in Euroformula Open here at Silverstone. Once again from pole position, it was Japan's Toshiki Oyu who took pole position, and once again got a cracking start with Cameron Dass in 2nd place from the front row, slotting in Dennis Hauger 3rd and Billy Munger 4th. There was early contact between Lars Lundqvist and Christian Hahn that saw Lundqvist spinning. Christian Hahn out of the race with damaged right front suspension. A great move around the outside for Billy Munger as he pulled off the move on Dennis Hauger to pick up what was 3rd place. And then more battles going on as Nikolai Kiergaard starts to move up the order with a great pass around the outside of Vale into Club. Then, possibly the talking point of the race, Billy Munger battling for 2nd place, sailed around the outside into Village, but into a loop, the 2 cars came into contact. Billy Munger understeered wide, clipped the front wing of Das, which broke as a consequence, and then Enem Ahmed started to jump into the mix, right onto the back of Munger, and then 1 corner later, decided to make the move and pulled off a move he pulled off earlier on in the race, sailing around the outside and just about holding onto the position as they turned their way through the last few corners. With Cameron Dass's front wing damaged, Dennis Hauger moved up to 5th position as a result, while Dass struggled home to 6th position. And on the last lap, Nikolai Kiergaard went under attack from Billy Munger, but Kiergaard once again moving up into 3rd position, stole away a podium from home favourite Billy Munger by pulling off the same move he'd managed to pull off on Dennis Hauger. But at the front, there was no stopping this man to take his 2nd victory of the weekend and on a fantastic debut on European soil. Toshiki Oyu has announced himself a Euroformula Open, and who knows, we may see him in more races in the future. So here is our overall top 3. 3rd place, Nikolai Kiergaard on the right. 2nd place, Enem Ahmed on the left. And there is your double race winner on his debut weekend in Europe. And there's also a representative for Motor Park. And so, National Anthem of Japan. So the national anthem of Japan rings out for our double race winner from this weekend, Toshiki Oyu. And he will, I'm sure, go back to Japan full of confidence after a great weekend. Here is the man in third place, Nikolai Kiergaard. He can be pleased with 2 podiums, his first 2 of the season for Carlin, for the young Dane. Second place trophy presented by Charlie Eastwood, and he goes ahead and gives second place trophy to Enam Ahmed, who's got more silverware to take home and take back to Japan. But going back to Japan with him in terms of a Japanese F3 context, but also with another race-winning trophy. It goes to Toshiki Oyu for Team Motor Park, and the Honda Junior has more silverware to savour. And congratulations from his team down below. And Charlie Eastwood also presents the team trophy to Motor Park, and one of their representatives up on the podium. And they'll all jump onto the top step. And then what comes after trophies and photos, I think you've got a clue, and it's on the bottom of the podium right there. So I think we are going to get a little bit of a champagne shower in a minute. And it's not so... Most pop rep has quickly disappeared behind the podium. And for obvious reasons, as Oyu gets covered in champagne. And so that was our overall results. Here's some of the highlights. Well, for those of you still on the online live stream, we've got one more podium to go, and that is for our rookie top 3. And so, third place once again goes to Billy Munger. Another popular podium for him as he jumps up. Second place goes to Nikolai Kiergaard, also from Carlin Motorsport. And once again, picking up his victory in not only overall, but the rookie standings as well. Toshiki Oyu heads back to the top step of the podium. And so the trophies will be handed out, first of all, to Billy Munger in third place. Plenty of support here this weekend. And another trophy to take home. Second place for Nikolai Kiergaard. So his haul gets ever bigger for 2019. And yet another trophy to take home for Toshiki Oyu, who will once again pick up his second rookie trophy victory of the season. So, as the rookie drivers head onto the top step of the podium, that's it for Euroformula Open for this weekend. There's 2 more meetings to go. Join us in a couple of weeks' time when we head to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, where we possibly could see the 2019 title decided. But for myself, Scott Woodwis, from Elliot Wood, and from all of us here at Silverstone, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time when the Euroformula Open heads to Barcelona. Bye for now.
Lots of carvings in every single direction. Billy's called to be inserted a little bit too strongly for him. There it goes. So, Billy finally gets the champagne open. Well done. Congratulations to our winners. And well done.